Welcome back to the Better Learning Podcast. We are continuing our conversations at EDspaces in Columbus, Ohio. We hope you're enjoying this series, and let's dive back in.
All right, before we get started here, why don't you give your name and title and organization?
All right, David Cupolo, principal in Horry County, South Carolina. It's St. James Intermediate School, grades 5-6 school. Been there for 8 years. It's a new state-of-the-art, new as in 8 years old, state-of-the-art building.
Perfect. All right, so we got 2 questions for you today. The term radically student-centered, when you hear that, what does that mean to you?
It's interesting that radically has to go with student-centered. That's what came to mind, because it shouldn't be radical if it's student-centered, because that's what we should be doing all the time. So when I think of radically student-centered is they're at the front. They're the reason we build schools. They're the reason the furniture exists. They're the reason the quality of affordance is in the building. That's the purpose. For the educator, it's why the parents send them to school. So it should always be student-centered.
Yeah. All right, good perspective. I like that. All right, so your question that we picked here is, what principles guide you when designing spaces that truly put students at the center of learning?
Engagement. If you look at Lee Jenkins' engagement continuum, we're losing kids' engagement starting from kindergarten. It's up there. And by junior year of high school, it starts to pick back up because they're at the end of the road, right? And they have all the clubs, the sports, and the learning. They're a better learner at that point. But it really drops. So how can we design spaces and implement pedagogy and affordances, the furniture, to make students engaged, to turn them on? What can we do to make them want to come into building, right? So, with the security features at schools, going through metal detectors or what have you, it's an experience for kids. They're almost numb to it now. But, when you do that, you kind of have a panic as an adult at the airport. What if I have something, right? And you don't have anything. We play music, right? It's for students to come in. That way, it kind of just makes it a totally different experience. Not to necessarily normalize it, but it gives that calming space to them entering the school. So when I think of designing for kids, it's not just in that classroom either. It's bringing them in the door, designing what experiences do you want for your kid.
Yeah, I love that. I've been thinking a lot of that more too, just the sensory things too, of having the music and, like we hear a lot of like biophilic design and things like that are tied in here, but those little things like just the completely changes. You get music in there. I even start thinking of like the hotels here, like they're focusing on scents. Like they literally have like specific scents for the hotels that they're trying to do, because all of that comes into that experience.
Yeah, even in my own learning, I realized Starbucks. I'm not putting a plug for Starbucks, it's not for their coffee.
What is your order at Starbucks?
I just usually get the special. Because I always had the beautiful picture. But anyhow, that space, that place provided me with the space I needed to do my own writing. Even when I go to write or do reading, that's a place, and it's more biophilic in nature. When I look at it now, have a better understanding of it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Those are our 2 questions. Anything else you want to talk about?
Not that I can think about top of my head.
All right. Awesome. Keep up the good work. It's awesome hearing the Finland. I can't wait. All right. We have to book it. I want to hear your takeaways when you come back for that.
I definitely will share. I'm excited to. I'm trying to develop my designing question or guiding question, design my guiding question for when I go to kind of see what do I want to focus on. And, I think that natural nature spaces that they use is where I'm going to look to see how is it impacting kids. Because it's all about kids.
Thanks for joining us for this special EDspaces edition of the Better Learning Podcast. We hope today's conversation sparked new ideas and reminded you just how powerful student-centered learning environments can be. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast and share it with someone who's passionate about improving education. And as always, keep pushing forward, keep rethinking what's possible, and keep making learning better, one space at a time. We'll see you in the next episode.